So I grew up in St. Charles, Illinois, which is a northwest suburb of Chicago. I grew up on a farm, one of 5 children. My mom stayed home with us and my dad was a truck driver. So magazines were always a really exciting mail item to get. It was something that we all kind of enjoyed, like whether it was highlights for kids or my mom really got like Glamour, Cosmopolitan, like all of these kind of glossy magazines that were kind of like a window into what almost like our future would be outside of that house. You know, when you're growing up as a kid, you kind of always imagine what life is going to be like when you're not there. So while I was at Columbia in Chicago studying journalism, I started to do internships at magazines. My first internship was at CS Magazine, Chicago Social, which is a social, luxury, high-end magazine that was what you would expect, like Devil Wears Prada type of internship. I mean, I had to get in cabs and go get cashmere for photo shoots. And then I would be like, just like typing up like my editor's interviews. And it was a lot of like drudgery, but also I got to see all aspects of what a publication could be beyond writing. I mean, the writing is just one tiny part of what goes into making a magazine. From there, I went and did an internship at Chicago Magazine, which was one of the best experiences of my career. Both of my internships, actually, I think, were instrumental in me owning this magazine today. So I had been to Nashville once a few years before. I camped across Tennessee with a boyfriend that I don't ever talk to again. But we went across the state of Tennessee and we spent some time in Nashville, and I was 19 and I felt like if I ever left Chicago, which I never thought I would do, Nashville was the kind of place I wanted to go to. So I just kind of blanket sent my resume out to the Tennessean and was hired within 2 weeks to come and write for a custom publication department, which at the time included 6 magazines that they were trying to launch from the newspaper. That's it. I packed up, I moved to Nashville. I was living in a hotel on Murfreesboro Road. I did not have a car because I didn't have one in Chicago and I didn't think I needed one in another city. So it was really kind of like trial by fire. Like, you did not want to be staying in the place I was staying at, and you did not want to be paying the rates I was for cabs, but I was starting something new. In 2007, I left the paper to raise my children and build a freelance writing career. And one of my clients was Nashville Interiors Magazine. At the time, it was owned by a woman named Kelly McGill, who was the founder. At the time, Nashville Interiors was a once-a-year publication. And it was more of a resource guide than it is now. A lot of industry-type news, things like that. In July 2017, Pam Harper, who was an ad rep at the magazine that I was really close with and knew my desire to own a magazine, came to me and said, "Hey, Hollie, Nashville Interiors is available. The woman who took it over is not interested in continuing. I think she's just going to close it up." And within a month, I was the owner and publisher of Nashville Interiors Magazine. I began to change a lot of things about Nashville Interiors that I thought needed to happen to reflect what was best to serve the design community at the time. So we began to print quarterly as opposed to once a year. And we began to do free distribution as opposed to selling in newsstands. It was really important to me that people actually saw the content, that they were able to pick it up and take it home and not have to worry about paying $20 for a magazine. I don't know if you've bought magazines lately, but they're like $12 to $20 for an issue. It's really cost prohibitive. When I think about that little girl I was on the farm, there's no way we would have been able to afford all the magazines we had at those kinds of rates. But something that is beautiful and accessible is like aspirational, but also really inclusive of what Nashville is right now. For a magazine that's been in print for 22 years, we have some exciting changes coming in 2022. We are going to be expanding our digital presence. We are working on a website relaunch that is going to be a lot more inclusive of what our partners need right now. We are going to be able to tell more stories. We're going to be able to dive a little bit deeper into the stories that we are telling in print. We're going to be able to go behind the scenes of how we get to that final product. We are going to be able to do a lot more video content, which I think is maybe the most exciting part, because it's one thing for us to be able to tell other people's stories, which we know that we do the best we can, but to be able to capture someone saying their story, telling it themselves, is going to be another element that I think is going to be really important in terms of connecting the design community together. So once I got into writing for Nashville Interiors, I really began to love the aspect of people sharing their home. And it's not just the beautiful spaces, but it's the memories they've made there. It's the collections that they have. And you don't have to own it. You can be a renter. You can be staying with family. You can be in any kind of space and make it your home. And that's what we love to show. Nashville right now is really something different. And to be able to cover the design in a city that's growing so quickly is a big responsibility. And so at Nashville Interiors, we really hope that people continue to come to us and see us as that trusted resource, because we're not going anywhere. We have been here for a long time. We care about the people who are in the community, who are partners with us, who we hope to become partners with us. We really kind of see us all in this together. And we love to be able to tell all of those stories of how people opened their store in Nashville, why they decided to pick this light fixture for this space that they're in with their family. All of these things are important and worth covering, and we hope that people recognize that when they pick up Nashville Interiors. And I will never not care about what this magazine looks like. I really care about what the experience is when people get this in their hands. The digital is going to be exciting and new expansion of that, but to have this core print piece be beautiful, be the record of what we put out there, is not ever going to change.